2016, we went back to Chautauqua to introduce Biblical Literalism, a Gentile Heresy. It was a highlight in our lives. This was followed by a period of time in the mountains of western North Carolina near Highlands and Cashiers. Christine and I have gone there annually for years, climbing a mountain a day. We always saved the hardest mountain, Chimney Top, for the last day. We had failed to make it to the crest in 2015, having halted about 100 yards from the top because we did not feel up to scrambling, climbing the last bit. It was for us both a crushing defeat. We charged it off to age. That summer of 2016 we went up again, not expecting to reach the top, but just to see how near we could come. We made it all the way, and filled with a celebratory sense of achievement, we came back home in a rainstorm that was quite refreshing. We looked like drowned rats. On Sunday and Monday nights I lectured to about 200 people at the Church of the Incarnation in Highlands. I had been a lecturer there for a number of years and knew the audience well. Most of them were summer tourists who were the intellectual leaders in their communities all over the South, but they listened with their ears attuned to a new dimension of understanding. We then enjoyed some family time at the wedding of my brother's only daughter, Ashley, and her husband, Mark, in New Orleans. It was a joy to be with my deceased brother's family. Next, we visited with our children and grandchildren in Vermont. After that, we set off for Marquette, Michigan, to begin the fall lecture schedule. Following our visit to Marquette, we planned to take our last European tour. First, there would be a relaxing trip down the Rhine River. When that was ended, we were to take a train to Paris and do lectures at the American Cathedral in that city, where the dean, Lucinda Laird, is a former priest of our Diocese of Newark, New Jersey. Then we would stay in Paris for an additional 2 days to do lectures and media events for our French publisher, Cartella Editions, which was bringing out 2 more of my books in translation in 2016. We were then scheduled to go to the United Kingdom, starting first in Glasgow, followed by an appearance at a conference at the Gladstone Library in Wales. We were to be there for 7 days in all, and I would actually be doing a lectureship named for my mentor, John A.T. Robinson, and myself, the Robinson-Spong Lecture on Contemporary Theology. One does not get a chance to fulfill a lectureship in one's own honor very often. Following that, we would go to Birmingham and London, including visiting St. James Church, Piccadilly, a wonderful church in London. We were to return to the United States about the 1st of November. It was, however, not to be. We got to Marquette on Friday night, September 9th. Nothing was scheduled that evening except for a lovely dinner party at one of Marquette's top restaurants. It was a delightful time seeing old friends and renewing relationships. We laughed and enjoyed ourselves greatly. My first assignment was at the University of Northern Michigan at 11 a.m. on Saturday. I got up early, went to the fitness center, and got in my regular 4 miles on the running track. Returning, I took Christine to breakfast, came back and showered, shaved, and dressed to get ready for the day. That was when it happened. Suddenly, I was on the floor and unconscious. I say unconscious, for that is what it seemed like, but I was high above my body, surveying the whole scene. I was wonderfully at peace. I did not feel a thing. Suddenly, those attending me felt a need to cut off my clerical shirt. I watched them do it, and then I truly did enter into unconsciousness. I later asked Christine what had happened, and she told me that they had cut off my shirt, just as I had seen them do, in order to place sensors on my body. They even gave the shirt back to Christine. I have it now. It was quite surreal, but in fact it was a stroke hitting the right side of my body, which I could no longer move. That was September 10th, 2016. I stayed in the Marquette Hospital for about a week before being transported in a medically equipped plane to Morristown, New Jersey, where I spent an additional 2 weeks in the hospital, learning slowly and patiently to walk again. As I write this, I seem fully recovered. I now walk on my treadmill every day. I am able to go to church every Sunday and recently took great delight in watching my wife run a half marathon in Richmond. I still have trouble writing. Oh, I can do it all right, but as yet no one can read it. I expect that to improve with time. That little stroke means that this will be my last book. Fortunately for me, it was already largely written. All it needed was the usual copy editing and correcting for delivery to Harper. We even met the deadline, although Harper had waived the limit and agreed to receive it whenever it arrived. I was delighted to send it in prior to the due date.